And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her.
Because the president endorsed Kamala Harris immediately, that really made it almost impossible to have a primary at that time.
Mr. President, didn't you realize your comment would hurt the Harris campaign?
Pelosi's plan was for an open primary, but Biden stuck it to the establishment, who threw him out by endorsing Kamala 30 minutes after dropping out. This is why Obama, Schumer and all the rest of them were so late to endorse. They didn't want her. Now Pelosi says the anticipation was that if President were to step aside, that there would be an open primary. And as I said, Kamala may have, I think she would have done well in that and been stronger going forward, but we don't know that. That didn't happen. We live with what happened because the president endorsed Kamala Harris immediately. That really made it almost impossible to have a primary at that time.
Next.
Should there have been an open primary, though?
Well, see, we thought that there would be, the anticipation was that if the president were to step aside, that there would be an open primary. And as I say, Kamala may have, I think she would have done well in that and been stronger going forward. But we don't know that. That didn't happen. We live with what happened. And because the president endorsed Kamala Harris immediately, that really made it almost impossible to have a primary at that time.
He played them. I mean, it definitely explains why he's so happy. I mean, look at all their faces and then look at Joe Biden. Does that look like a man who's unhappy with the election results? And a lot of people speculated that Jill coming out in red was a sign that she was going to vote Republican. And obviously, Biden, with all his antics leading up to the election, things like this, calling all Trump supporters garbage, which obviously didn't help Kamala's campaign. And then when he addressed the nation, I mean, look at that face. President Biden is super invigorated, dementia gone, orchestrated his own coup, and then voted for Trump. Defeated Kamala, Dark Brandon for real. Let's check it out.
And here comes President Biden. He's got quite a pace there. He's got his aviators on, traditional sunglasses. Joe Biden coming out, about to address the nation. He looks pretty perky. He's definitely had his Weetabix. Here he is.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you, please. Thank you. Good to see this cabinet and staff together here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I think he knew. I think he knew from the beginning. And then you've got Nancy Pelosi. If you watch the full interview, I wouldn't recommend it. She's pretty delusional. But she's saying she thought Kamala done a great job, which doesn't make any sense. You had 3 times the money, 80% of the media, 99% of Hollywood behind you, all of the federal institutions behind you, and she still lost. And she had $1 billion of campaign funding, and now she's in $20 million of debt.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
And you wonder why, but then you see this. They spent $10 million for Beyonce, $5 million for Meg Thee Stallion, $3 million for Lizzo, and $1.8 million for Eminem. That's crazy. Everyone's out here saying Eminem's being a simp for the establishment. Maybe deep down he did vote for Trump. Who knows? We'll never know.
And $20 million went to their little concerts with Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Christina Aguilera, John Bon Jovi, remember him? They even had to cancel a performance by Alanis Morissette because they were running low on cash. Isn't that ironic?
Someone else says, I've never seen the president speak this clearly and sharply before. How come after they lost the elections he suddenly became so bright?
Yeah, it's good to see you all. Particularly good to see my granddaughter sitting in the front row here. Hi, Finn. How are you, honey? For over 200 years, America has carried on the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And that's not hyperbole. That's a fact. We're the people. The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve.
Mr. President, didn't you realize your comment would hurt the Harris campaign?
And this is what Trump said during his debate with Kamala, and it looks like he was actually right all along.
He got 14 million votes and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out.
Now, despite all of this, there's still people who want Biden to step down, which obviously he's not going to do. If everything we've just seen is true, that ain't happening, is it? But this is what they want. Check it out.
He is looking for. That is my question. I'll start with you.
Joe Biden has been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her from being able to from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public want to see. Is the time. This is the moment for us to change the entire perspective of how Democrats
this
operate.
has now jumped from an internet meme to a Sunday morning show.
Jamal's out here right now.
Congratulations.
Season of House of Cards.
I thought you were going to say, what about the Supreme Court? That's also out there.
Well, the Supreme Court might happen. I don't know if it will, but I think this is something that's...
Now, to me, that doesn't make any sense. Unless they've got some plan behind the scenes where they want to install her as the president because they can't control him anymore, I don't know. Or if they just want to give it to her just to tick a box and be like, look, we got the first female president. Which is the dumbest thing ever if that's the case, because being the president of the most powerful country in the world isn't just a prize that you just hand out to anyone. She failed in the primaries, she failed in her campaign, she doesn't deserve it. And not only that, she'd then be entitled to Secret Service protection for her husband and her kids for the remainder of their lives, after serving a month and a half, all funded for by the taxpayer. And of course, Donald Trump accepts lunch invitation with President Biden. I don't know if this is going to be private, I'm assuming it is, but I would love to see what they talk about. But anyway, Trump's back, thanks to Joe Biden.